The press can hold its magnifying glass up to our problems, bringing them into focus, illuminating issues heretofore unseen. Or they can use that magnifying glass to light ants on fire. And then perhaps host a week of shows on the sudden, unexpected, dangerous flaming ant epidemic.
John Stewart there. I'm joined now by Tom Switzer from Sydney University's US Studies Centre. Tom Switzer, good morning.
John.
What did you make of all that this morning?
Well, they're flamboyant political satirists from a very popular cable network who are undoubtedly appealing to the thoughts and attitudes of a lot of Liberal partisans and Democratic activists, but I don't think they represent the thoughts and attitudes of Middle America.
Do you think it's going to work in terms of, I guess the main goal was to mobilise the Democrat support base. Do you think it'll work in that regard? I
don't think so. I mean, President Obama was recently on Jon Stewart's recent program where he tried to rally the Liberal Party, the Liberal base of the Democratic Party. I think a lot of Liberals are very upset with President Obama over the surge in Afghanistan, the torture memos, failure to close Gitmo, and they feel that he's dropped the ball on things like climate change and he compromised too much with the Republicans. So I think it'll be very difficult for Obama to win back the base of his party, and these kind of rallies might help to some extent, but not terribly.
So all this happens in the context of the congressional elections, which are coming up on Tuesday. Do you think it was wise for Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert to head down that path because you did have those the Republican commentators, the supportive Republican commentators holding those huge rallies earlier? Do you think it was wise to head down that path or not?
I think it's a bit counterproductive, Joe, because if you look at all the available public polling evidence, Gallup had a poll just recently that showed that 54% of Americans identify themselves as conservative, whereas only 18% of Americans would identify themselves as liberal. That's a huge disparity of about 2.5 to 1, and that disparity has actually widened during the last 2 years. So I think that Middle America is well to the right of where these rallies are, and I think to the extent that they have any impact, it may even be counterproductive.
So what are the latest indications about what's going to happen on Tuesday?
Well, most seasoned observers in Washington predict huge swings to the Republicans. If you look at the average swings against the president's party during a midterm election, it's about 25 seats in the House and 2 seats in the Senate. Now, at this stage, it'll be more than double that. Most seasoned observers think that the Republicans will gain between 50 and 60 seats in the House, possibly anywhere between 6 and 11 seats in the Senate. I think the Republicans will get control of the House, but I'd be very surprised if they actually went over the Senate. It's too tight in some of those seats.
So why is it going so wrong for Barack Obama? If you look at it objectively over the past 2 years, if you had a pair of scales and you were putting things on either side of the scales in terms of successes and failures, how's it looking?
Well, look, he's managed to get through a lot of prominent Liberal legislation through the Senate, which is a success story in many respects.
Foremost of which will be the healthcare reform
Healthcare bill, stimulus, but he failed on cap and trade, which is what we call emissions trading scheme. I think Americans are in a very foul mood. They're mired in double-digit unemployment, skyrocketing levels of debt and deficit. They're bogged down in a very unpopular war. I mean, Afghanistan is a big issue in America, unlike, say, here in Australia. And I think more disturbingly from the incumbent party, most Americans think their country is going in a very bad direction. In fact, I was in America just recently. I was quite struck by hearing both Liberals and Conservatives say that the level of dissatisfaction in America right now is higher today under Obama than it ever was under Bush.
But if you had a Republican president, would he or she have been able to handle the global financial crisis any differently, or the situation in Afghanistan and Iraq?
Very good question. I doubt it. I think Americans are bogged down in a cultural crisis, and I don't think that either party, Democrats or Republicans, really have the answers. I mean, the Republicans are going to make big swings next Tuesday, huge swings in the House. They'll get control of the Congress and the lower house. They'll come close to winning the Senate. But interestingly, Republicans are less popular than Democrats today if you look at most opinion polls. So this is really a swing against the incumbent party, which happens to be the Democrats.
So will things only get worse for Barack Obama over the next 2 years if he doesn't have control of the House?
Look, it all depends on the economy. I suspect that if there is a double-dip recession, and a lot of economists on all ideological stripes think that there will be a double dip, if there is a double dip, and he goes to the next election with close to double-digit unemployment, I think he'll struggle. But of course, a lot depends on how he reacts to the new geopolitical political landscape in Washington. If the Republicans get control of both houses and they move in a hard right direction on a lot of issues, just like they did in 1994 when they took control of both houses of Congress, this presents him an opportunity to move to the centre and wrong foot ideologues on the right.
So you think it'd be a mistake for the Republicans to go down the Tea Party path?
I think that the Tea Party has some very plausible messages. I think it's important as a Conservative to lower the size of government and to cut spending and to rein in record debt. But the problem with the Tea Party is that although their message is quite consistent on economics, they're really all over the place on social, cultural and foreign policy issues. They're riven by factionalism in many respects. Their main message right now is the economy, but if they get into power, they'll have to deal with these other issues, and it remains to be seen where they really stand on them.
Well, one of the big catch cries, or the catch cry for Obama during the election 2 years ago, is the yes we can thing. And he was recently on the Jon Stewart show, and Jon Stewart asked him, do you still stand by that? And there was a moment where Barack Obama answered yes. It'd be yes we can, but, and everyone started laughing. Is he still the great communicator that everyone thought he was going to be?
Oh, well, there's no question he's highly articulate and intelligent, and his approval rating is about 43%, which is pretty much where it was for President Bush in 2006 when the Republicans copped a big swing. So I think that his policies are more unpopular than the man himself. I think he and the Democrats, particularly Nancy Pelosi in the House and Harry Reid in the Senate, they misread the mandate of 2008. They used their big supermajorities in the House and the Congress and in the White House to implement a policy trifecta of big government in the form of stimulus, the healthcare, and to some extent climate change policy. Most Americans just wanted to restore their economic fortunes, and that hasn't happened.
Will the Republicans have someone to put up in 2 years who is capable of unseating Obama?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, just like we didn't know in November 1990 of a little-known governor in Arkansas, Bill Clinton, who went on to beat George H.W. Bush, who was overwhelmingly popular in 1990. Likewise, Jimmy Carter. Not many people knew Jimmy Carter, the governor of Georgia, in November 1974, and he went on to win 2 years later. I don't think the Republicans have a credible candidate at this stage. I don't think Palin is quite up to it. I don't think that even a lot of Tea Party people believe that she should be the presidential candidate. If you wanted to bet, I would suggest the governor of Indiana, Mitch Daniels. He's a sharp, smart, articulate policy wonk. He lacks charisma, but he's very competent, and I think that's exactly what the country needs right now, a competent leader who can get the country moving again.
OK, we'll see what happens on Tuesday. Tom Switzer from the US Studies Centre at Sydney University.
Thanks.